under the FSMC, that's no requirement for bidding or anything on that? I mean,
there is, that's why we did the RFP. RFPs for services like that, we would not be required to do an RFP. That's more or less the board so chose to do that route. We could have just chose. But the way that federal funds works, we have to do that, and they stipulate we have to do that. So that's something just like this. With procurement, they would stipulate what the thresholds are, and how we can handle these funds, and how we can procure those, and we would have to meet all the requirements. And I'm trying to think of what else. Like, there's a lot of steps we have to take to make sure we're compliant from a federal standpoint before we even get to the procurement phase. So, in essence, they kind of take all that guesswork out of it through the process.
Well, the one thing I do want to give you credit on, Tom, is that when you put up the procurement, the thresholds, thank you for doing that. Because that was so outdated. If I remember, it started out at 10,000 and went up to 11.5 on the low, and above up to 18.5, and now it's changed totally. It's really gone up because of the inflation. And I've looked and looked on the state websites for the exact figure, because they always say they put it every year, but you can't find it. So when you put that chart up, thank you for doing that, because you have those state thresholds in there, which I appreciate.
That's one of the reasons to update this attachment is to bring those up to date.
Very much so. It keeps us. It's still under 10,000 for, but the rest of it kept going up. Okay. Well, wait a minute. I was going to do the record retention schedule. Yes. I was reading in the record retention schedule, board it is, and what I'm concerned about is it only mentions retaining emails for district employees. What about board members? It says 2 years for district employees. Says nothing about board members. What's
that? Dr. Berryman or Dr. Mark,
well, I guess we took PSBA and then a couple other districts from around us, and they had it broken down by each section that you see on here. And to my recollection,
any
nothing about school board.
Specifically stated school board members.
And Mr. Sullivan, it's understood that school board members receiving an email address from the school district that has employees would be considered school district employees even though their salary is zero. So your emails as part of our email system would fall under the employees. As with Mr. Thompson's, as with Mr. Public, Mr. Benjamin's, oral.
so they would fall under the 2-year retention schedule.
They would fall under the employee retention schedule.
How long? 2 years.
Now, when you say retention, I'll ask this question. Retention isn't just on our district laptops. Would it not be electronically held somewhere else, like on a server or a cloud?
Retention through the Google, I'm just going to say Google dashboard that protect department.
Okay, so it is there.
Yes.
Okay, so even if you go to it, gone. It's not gone.
What are you trying to get to?
Well, what we're trying to get to is people like me that say I delete my emails. I delete my emails on my end.
No, I'm not coming after you.
No, you are. Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not. No, because I never said that.
I know you didn't say that, but that's what you're insinuating, so we'll get to it. So if it is something that is important, I am required to hold on to it if it is important. If I don't think it's important, I can delete it on my end, but anything sent from the school is held on his email, on his documents. So when you sit there and put your 8 ones out, 8 write notes asking for any emails, you're asking for ones that I have. Right? I don't keep them. Now, anything that the school may have might go in there, but you got to be specific and ask for those. So, yes.
So the record retention schedule would have it falling under employees. Does that answer your question?
So in my defense, I was pretty much, so when you write to know, I have always assumed that when you say you want these emails from this, this, or this, that they're going to look on the server and get them regardless if they're on their laptop or not.
So what's the purpose of filing the arguments? What's the purpose?
What do you mean?
What's the reasoning that you're wanting these board member emails?
Well, it isn't the wanting the board member emails, to be honest with you. You want to know what it honestly was? I mean, huh?
That's what you're asking for.
Yes, correct. It was more about how, well, I shouldn't even get into that because it's not even in the conversation, but look, I know common sense. Common sense will bring you to a point in your life when you're sitting in a meeting on 5/20/2024 and somebody singles you out as a volunteer, which has never been done in all the time, 18 months I've been on this board, ever. And then you all read from the bottom of the list to the top. And no one in the room said, why are we doing that, Nick? Because you all were talking to each other and you all knew it. That was my point. You all knew what was going to happen. The only person that didn't know was the audience and me. That was my point.
What if
Because you all didn't even question it.
but
I mean, I would.
Okay,
What are we doing right now? Let's
All
move
right, move
on.
on. Unless there's something, there's a question or something in there, is there anything else pertaining to the record's retention? Hearing none. Brian's not here for, did you have anything for HCTI? No, okay, I'll do that. Then you don't have anything for PSA, this next one, I don't have anything for LIU, okay. We're up to FMX report, that's all in your package, you guys need, there's any questions there? None? Okay, is there any new business?
Yeah, I do have a question about the merge of the middle school to the high school.
Okay.
Because it's recently been brought to my attention, this project initially was brought forth to the previous boards, that 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade would be in their own wing, period. 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th would be in their own wing, period. What I'm hearing is that that's not the case. These students are going to be mingling, especially to get from one part of the hall to where the art room's supposed to be for the 6th graders. Having 6th graders walk to where the art room is supposed to be, down the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade hallway, to me, is just not acceptable.
I think that's the only part of interaction that they have, if I remember correctly, going to special.
Yeah, so my recollection is 6th grade has its own wing, and that was always the case. So they're going to be in what's always called the 100 hallway, the wing that's getting worked on now.
Right, the first floor.
Was designated for 6th grade. So they are in that area all day except for specialists.
Right.
And yes, like there isn't any other way to the art room except to go down the hall and up the steps, or up the steps and down the hall. Like there's no other way for 6th grade to get there. It was always designed that 7th and 8th grade would have a portion of the new wing, and they are at the front of, on the 2nd floor, they're at the front of that new wing. So like there's some science classes in the back, I believe it's science. Science is in the back of that top floor, but they have their classes at the front end of that hallway.
And if I'm not mistaken, there was a different bell schedule for this, isn't there a different bell schedule for the 6th graders and 8th and everybody else?
That hasn't been determined yet. I think 7 to 12 is working on the same bell schedule, because we did talk about 7th, 8th, and 9th graders being able to take some electives together, like Intro to Ag, Spanish 1, French 1, so that like if you're in 8th grade and you wanted to take French 1 or Spanish 1, you could get that year-long experience. So they'd have to be on the same bell schedule for that type of thing, or if they did Intro to Ag, they'd have to be able to be on that bell schedule. 6th grade, I think they did talk about, we have talked about them being on a different schedule because they're also probably going to eat in their own time frame as well.
Okay, you wanted to do that, that's good, I appreciate. I'm just thinking of these 6th grade, I'm saying babies, because they're the youngest, like they're the kindergartners coming in. walking down a hallway and with potential seeing these big seniors or juniors.
They're on the bus with them,
What's that?
they're on the bus with them,
Oh.
and as some of them as indicated, buses can be more intimidating than.
Well, okay, I understand that, but what I'm saying is, it was pre-Tim and Judy. What was initially brought to the board by Chris Bigger was that 6 through 8 was gonna be completely separate from 9 through 12, and that is not the case now. That is not okay. In my opinion, I don't think that's okay.
I think the
That's-
fact that when they're thinking through it and they're trying to better the education by letting students be able to take some specials like French,
I'm not
ag, and
saying
those
something,
things.
I think that's actually a great
Right.
idea.
But sixth grade, with it, unless you're gonna bring the art classroom to sixth grade, which I
Maybe
don't
you-
see is feasible.
Well, maybe there can be some reconfiguration.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Correct.
there are teachers in the
Teachers will be
hallway. The only other,
supervising hall.
yeah, the only other thing I can take to, the principals, especially as they're working on, because we're gonna do some secondary meetings this summer to firm some of that stuff out, or up. So like at the elementary school, if you think about it, their teachers walk them to their specials. I don't know if that's something that in sixth grade could still be something where, especially art, like PE, they don't have to really necessarily walk through any upperclassmen to get from that sixth grade hallway to the gym, right? Like they're just going through the lobby. But that might be something like if they're going to art, that is the furthest one away.
Right.
PE, music is not that, like they just go right up the steps and.
Well, that was
seventh and
was
eighth
next.
To go to music, so
Sorry.
they don't really have to intermix to go to music.
I was just gonna add and build on what Dr. Baird was saying. I think the process that I recall was conversations from the start to the finish with different committees and different folks to try to figure out how best to keep the sixth graders as isolated as possible. And I believe that that's what we're trying to currently do, is make sure that they are as isolated as possible. And when they have to shift or change classes, to provide the support in the hallways and the areas that are free time or unscheduled time to be able to support them and make sure that they're learning that process. And I believe that's
It
the
sounds
Dr.
for really
Baird
bad
was
word.
working on.
Like summer, it's just a whole different atmosphere than what. But back to like music. So music apparently is going to be in the library, in a room off of the library. Like what about people doing their work and studying, or like isn't that going to interfere?
It's supposed to be getting some construction up there too,
Right.
and it's not like, it's the sixth grade, seventh grade general music. It's not band, chorus, it's not that kind of, it's their general, like, sixth grade rotation type music. Yeah, it's not,
I'm just thinking if they're like playing instruments.
no, I
And they're
know,
running off the library.
It's not
how
bad.
are
How to
they
read
gonna
music,
do
it's not
their
bad.
work?
Soundproofing,
Seriously, okay. But I mean, it's a legit.
yeah, no, that's a great question, that is great, but, yeah, they will also have band and chorus rooms.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I do for Dr. Menzel. Dr. Menzel, I'll send you a very nice email requesting the costs involved with the Kathy Griffin right to know that recently was decided May 29th, 2025. You wrote back that you're going to talk to the board to see if the board wants to do it. Well, I'm standing here with the one you made for me. Here it is. Everybody can see it. Just the front page. It was done for me. I would like to have all the costs, including administration fees, from this harassing person. I would like to have it.
Mr. Sullivan, what I think I shared with you, and I think I sent it to the full board, was that that was a total board decision, not that I would go to each individual board member and ask. So you bringing up is a perfect opportunity to get a straw poll, because I believe when the other right to knows were asked, it was asked of Dr. Bell during this time, and I believe that the entire board, or the majority of the board, said that they wanted that. So it is.
Ms. Ewing, do you care or not care for the Kathy Griffin financial costs? Right to know. you know?
What is the point, and I'm just curious, what's the point in this? I mean, if there's a legit concern, I don't,
The concern should be the cost.
Hold on, I have to pull it.
Wait, is this
That
just
was
gathering
well,
calls?
that
Yeah.
was a concern
I mean,
when
if
we
we're just
filed
gonna
eight.
pick about one person, then we
It's a
might as well all
concern.
have all the rights and then what the cost is.
What'd you say, I'm sorry?
but that's a lot of money for.
No, what did you say?
Wait,
Hold on.
is this just?
Slow down, stop,
Wait a minute,
stop,
wait a minute,
stop,
is this
stop,
all the
stop,
money
please,
just
stop,
gathering information?
stop. She asked the question was asked, she made a comment, the question was over here because she couldn't hear because people were talking. That's why I asked you to stop. He would like to know the answer, what she said, so that he can make, so that he has the same information that you just got. So, please pronounce your question a little bit louder so that he can hear over here, please.
I said, if we're gonna single out one and pick it out, then everybody here should have access to every RTK there is, there has been.
Okay, stop,
Instead of
stop.
singling out one person.
Now,
Is
you're
this
done.
costing us money, or is it just gathering information for the business office? Business vendor gathering information?
It's costing us money.
Ah, that's okay.
Okay.
I thought it was
It's
just.
costing us money for the right to knows. It's costing us money for legal fees for the right, and here's what I'll say.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought it was just gathering, how much did it cost us to do these? That's all, I thought it was
That's
just
still
getting
gonna
us.
take time out of them to have to look for that stuff. Now,
Up or down?
We got a statement you want to make first for clarification.
What's the question? Because I think feel like we're changing.
The question is, do you want to give care, as Dwayne Sullivan, one of the phrases correctly?
Do you want me, Carrie, Tom, to calculate the total cost of the RTKs that were filed by Kathy Griffin and provided to Dwayne?
I think that if he wants it, that's fine, and we can post on the website the costs affiliated with all the ones that are on the website.
Maybe we should do that when you do post them on the website, just add the cost, and then we don't have to worry about it.
Next one.
While you're doing it.
I don't explore how that would happen.
I would like all the costs for all the rights knows on the website, so everybody can look at everything.
Sounds good to me.
All right?
And I will look into that
Including-
process and
including
how
his
that will
aid?
work.
Yep.
Well, mine's been said in public meeting.
I'm just saying, going forward, I'll just do that.
Kind of sort of.
All right, is there any other new business?
Or if you have to post it on the website, you might as well put all the information.
Is there any other new business? Hearing none. Post adjournment, we will meet for an executive session to review the state required annual safety report. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a
Second,
second?
Steve Gerber.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No? Motion carries.
We're doing it here or someplace
We're
else?
staying in here,
I
so
mean,
please vacate. No, no more candy bars. Sit your-
For tomorrow.